Other interesting cultural news, you have Bud Light hiring comedian Shane Gillis for a partnership. This as Bud Light desperately tries to get their old fans and old customers back. And they have not been successful. They spent millions, probably hundreds of millions of dollars on new partnerships, new marketing materials, and yet when you look at all the comments on social media, look at the sales figures, the data, they have not really recovered at all. Their sales for Bud Light are usually still down about 30% week over week compared to the same fiscal period prior to all the controversy with where they hired Dylan Mulvaney for $185,000 for a couple pictures and a video to be a brand ambassador. And geez Louise, that certainly did backfire. We shall always remember Alyssa Heiderscheld, brilliant marketing leader behind that decision. Although she is, oddly enough, not on LinkedIn anymore. Perhaps she's ashamed from her business ineptitudes. But nevertheless, they've been trying to dig themselves out of the hole that they've created and saying how could they maybe win back their fans. So they've been doing things like, paying the UFC $100 million to be the official beer of the UFC. And now they've done what I thought would be the highly improbable, some would say the impossible. They hired Shane Gillis, who is a very famous stand-up comedian. He's on Joe Rogan all the time. And many people consider him middle or right. And he's famously, in one of my favorite examples of, don't be too disappointed if you get fired in life because it could be the best thing that ever happens to you. He actually tried out to be on SNL. He got a job offer from Saturday Night Live. Then they discovered he made a pejorative joke, I believe, around the Asian community, and they fired him. He didn't even have like a first full day on SNL, and yet now he's infinitely more popular and I would argue more talentable than any of those mentally vacuous people who still work at SNL. I think there's 5 people left, and 3 people watch it. Maybe 4. 5 if there's a TV left on in the middle of the night, if you want to go by those numbers. But nevertheless, they have not been funny in decades. Now, Shane Gillis, on the opposite, he's hilarious, and he makes fun of everyone equally, and which is what I think comedy should always be. Now, interestingly enough, with Shane Gillis, I almost think they really didn't have to in terms of when the Bud Light controversy hit, Joe Rogan and the guys on his popular show, I believe Saving the Parks, is one of the most popular repeating episodes where they have a couple of their favorite buddies on. You got Ari Shaffir, you got Shane Gillis, Mark Norman, Joe Rogan, and I think one more may elude me, but nevertheless, that's the main gang. And they just hang out and shoot the shit, so to say. And no matter what happened, they always have Bud Light on the table. And as far as I know, they've never paid Joe Rogan for that, which, of all the things they should have sponsored, of all the money, like, that is a lot of free marketing right there. To have Joe Rogan drinking a Bud Light and still drinking it post Dylan Mulvaney controversy, it's hard to quantify how much of an impact that probably had on saving some of their sales and keeping them somewhat in the social cultural spotlight in a positive way, where every other celebrity, especially in the middle and right, they were making fun of Bud Light. There's a lot of material to work with, don't get me wrong, but it's become a joke. And to this day, if you see someone at a bar, they're ordering a Bud Light, not only do you think they have no taste buds or just rudimentary tastes, but you also kind of wonder, are they trying to start a political conversation? Is this a signal, so to say? As Bud Light inserted themselves into politics and tried to sell beer to children by hiring someone whose average audience was about 15 years old, which many would say would also be not just mentally vacuous, but morally vacuous as well. Now, Shane Gillis, he stuck by Bud Light, even though they never paid him a dime, or a penny, for that matter. So he's always drinking the beer on the show. He's drinking it when he's doing stand-up. That brand's with him all the time. So it'll be interesting to see if this changes how much this matters, but he was already advertising that for them for free, basically. They weren't paying him, but he's still stuck by that brand. Which, now that I think about it, him and Joe Rogan are probably the only famous people I know who stuck by that brand and continue to drink it. A lot of the other celebrities who are more in the middle of the right, you had Kid Rock famously shoot cases of Bud Light with a full auto MP5, which, geez Louise, if you want a full auto transferable MP5, those are going for like $60,000. Partially because they had to be manufactured and registered before the law of 1986 passed. Of course, they didn't pass in 1984. That'd be too prolific or too accurate to dystopian novels. But nevertheless, Shane Gillis came out with this photo last week on I believe they call it the Instagram, which, disappointingly enough, has nothing to do with graham crackers if you're a sweet tooth. But it is a fascinating platform nevertheless. Now, one of the first pictures is of Shane Gillis wearing a Bud Light hat, giving a thumbs up, and he's filling up, or at least to be, a glass with Bud Light from a giant Stein, what do you call it? A giant beer brewing device. Not the kettle. Nevertheless, the giant beer holding apparatus, and it even says in bold print, which again, partially for SEC or is it SEC? No, FCC. I forgot the regulatory body that has to cover advertising. I believe this is the Federal Communications. That might be it. You have to have a disclaimer. That's why this show is sponsored by Top Technologies. I click that button. I say, hey, we're sponsored by that. That's how this show could afford to be made. Now, Shane Gillis says right on top, paid partnership with Bud Light. And he says, quote, excited to announce my partnership with Bud Light, hashtag Bud Light partner. That is going to be astonishing. Now, going to the comments, a couple of the first feedback. One comes from Mike Cox. He says, quote, Bud Light trying hard not to be gay, unquote. That got 19,615 likes, which also goes to show you the sheer sample size of, let me see here, Shane Gillis. Going to his profile, he has 1.2 million followers, which is quite a few to say the least. Now, Seth LMFAO says, quote, he's brewing them at night, getting 20,069 likes. Perhaps he is also making grilled cheese sandwiches, allegedly, at night. Inside joke if you follow Shane Gillis. Young Kraknick says, quote, shout out to Bud Light for working with the disabled, unquote, getting 11,323 likes. Fam Guy Rolden says, effing Shane Gillis is trans, unquote, getting 11,199 likes. Jackman Gown says, quote, kind of gay, Shane. I saw this post and said, wow, kind of gay. That was Shane Gillis, bar none, has the best Trump impression. Jamie Foxx probably close second. And that was the vernacular of that. I can kind of tell he's trying to go for Shane's Trump impression, which this might hurt your earballs. So, spoilers, or not spoiler, but a caution. But I will attempt to do the Trump impression with Shane Gillis' text to go, quote, kind of gay, Shane. I saw this post and thought, wow, kind of gay, unquote. I'm sorry, but the attempt simply had to be made. And hopefully you at least cracked a modicum of a smile. Now, Mark Normand actually chimed in and he just said, really? Oh, that's clever. Okay, so he literally just said Dylan Mulvaney, unquote. They got 7,156 likes. Rob Biglin says, quote, I'm not gay no more. I'm delivered. What? Unquote. That got 726 likes. Cindy Shin says, quote, sending hate from Australia, unquote. Getting 166 likes. You really got to do something specific to piss off those Australians. Let's see here. Motto Memes says, quote, paying people that we like doesn't cover up their sins, unquote, getting 797 likes. Nate Levine says, quote, good for Bud Light, sponsoring another trans person, very progressive, unquote, getting 4,374 likes. Lucas Extreme Arms says, quote, you're definitely cooler than a Transformer, unquote, getting 609 likes. Papa Didi says, quote, Shane gonna single-handedly make Bud Light not gay again, unquote, getting 3,146 likes. So it'll be interesting to see then kind of going, this is hilarious, someone's prediction, but Shane was actually on the podcast with Joe Rogan a while back saying, I wish they'd sponsor me. And Joe Rogan, interestingly enough, someone who does podcasting and is not in the industry, he had the idea, not crazy outlandish or original idea, but to have Bud Light sponsored by Shane Gillis. So hilariously enough, that gal who worked in marketing at Bud Light for her whole career destroyed the company, again, by 30% loss in their sales for Bud Light alone. Billions of dollars lost. Terrible. The biggest business blunder of the year, bar none, in 2023. Probably 2024, it'll carry over. Her idea destroyed the company. Joe Rogan may even save the company. We'll see what the sales figures go like after this endorsement. But this is a fun little clip.
Really? Yeah.
Let's see. Well, it's hard to do the shorts.
This is the first time I got called gay at a bar, dude. Really? It's the first time I drink. It's how we talk, dude. Yeah. It's not gonna truly deter me. If I order Bud Light and someone's like, what are you, gay? I'm like, yeah. No. I'll suck your dick, dude. I'm gonna fucking blow you right now, you fucking bitch. Do you think Bud Light's gonna bounce back? Yeah. I think so, dude. I think they will with your help.
I think the story is...
I think Bud Light needs to just send me fucking $50,000.
Just hire Chuck Norris.
Just give him a case. Give me $20.
Hire Chuck Norris.
I sell 1,000 Bud Lights every weekend. It's the first time I got called gay at a bar, dude.
So, pretty good. It'll be interesting to see Because again, they tried brand endorsements before. They're working with the UFC. They have not, interestingly enough, said anything against Sean Strickland, who's one of the most popular UFC champs, who's said a lot of controversial things that prior would have had Bud Light in that company sweating bullets, so to say. But he said a lot of things that some people would interpret as anti-trans or quote-unquote not being an ally. And Bud Light, interestingly enough, has not put out a disclaimer or a statement saying we don't agree with him, we're just sponsoring the UFC. Which, again, in terms of PR and marketing, that is extremely rare. Extremely rare. Usually if anyone says anything controversial, they say, hey, we're supporting the brand, not the person's actual, we're sponsoring UFC, not the individual fighters, words. Like, normally there'd be a huge PR team going and putting out what they might perceive as fires for that. They haven't done that. So it'll be interesting to see, what actually happens with Bud Light. Culturally speaking, their sales are still bad. Social media, they're still usually ratioed beyond all belief. But maybe the sales will go up a little bit. Or maybe they'll just stay 30% low forever and that'll be the quote-unquote new norm. It'll be interesting to see, but as I always say, time shall tell. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of February, so click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a comment and a thumbs up and thumbs down is a great way to give me some additional feedback so I can know how to make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.